So today we are with an important idea to discuss how to manage one's person, one's personality, how to gain role, let's say leadership awareness, especially on the personal level first. With Claudia. Claudia, could you please introduce yourself and what do you do for business in a German accent, Claudia?
In a German accent. I'm sorry, I can't deliver that. No, not really. Anyway, as I'm Claudia, I am the founder of a coaching and training organization, The Better Workplace, and I'm a personal leadership expert and trainer. So how did I get there? I have worked in the IT industry for many, many years. So this is 30-year plus IT career behind. And to cut it very short, I eventually realized that I like people more than computers and IT. And I realized that the success of an organization is totally and utterly dependent on the individuals and the sum of the individuals. Either that works or it doesn't. And in many cases, it doesn't. What works, what happens between people, all the interactions. So I help mainly executives, leaders in IT and biotech, sometimes also in other organizations, NGOs, etc., to get more clarity about themselves, to get rid of patterns, limiting beliefs, to learn how to communicate successfully, to build relationships. So in short, to really lead themselves successfully so they can lead others and inspire them. So that's it in a nutshell.
So let's go to the first question here. Like, why is it important to start with, let's say, personal leadership?
If anybody would like to progress and really grow in the workplace, it is important to lead themselves. That's the first and foremost thing. And it's, by the way, not only necessary to lead other people in the workplace. I mean, let's face it, in real life, everywhere, in all areas, we are leaders of somebody. We are being watched. We might be a role model for children. We might be a role model for siblings. We might be a role model for peers. And this is already where leadership skills are important, and they just start here. So if I'm not centered, if I don't have a high awareness of myself, and if I don't know how to interact with myself first, it will be very, very hard to interact with other people. So in short, knowing yourself very well enables you to lead yourself so that you can lead others, and regardless of position in the organization. And if you happen to have a position in an organization where you actually really lead people, it's crucial.
And so how would you like to define IS personal leadership? What does it mean for you?
Well, personal leadership means to know thyself, if I was to speak in Shakespearean here. So really knowing who you are, that is the absolute first step. So having a connection with yourself, your true self. When we look at how we grow up, right? When we're a little kid, we're totally ourselves, totally, utterly. And then comes what I call the conditioning. So there are peers, there are teachers, there's society, there's education, and all of that forms different layers on top of us. So suddenly when we're, I don't know, leaving school and we have to decide, what am I going to study? What career am I going to? All these layers play a huge role. So what do my parents expect? What does society expect? What gives me a good reputation, etc., etc. And this might not be what true self really is. So personal leadership is knowing what's underneath these layers, to know, I call it know your truth, right? Because this is the only way of how you can actually really find your path in life and in business. And there are different parts to it. So being able to lead yourself, knowing yourself, meaning know exactly what is your vision in life. What's your direction? What's the North Star? Not a plan, not to confuse with a plan. I'm going to do this and this and this and that. No, 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 no. It's the vision. It's really the big outlook. So that's one thing. The other huge part is, I mentioned it before, communication and relationships, right? Do I master the relationship with myself? And how do I master the relationship with others? How do I speak with myself? Because communication also starts here with myself. And that's what a lot of people completely disregard. They think, oh, if the other person would say something else, everything would be fine. No, it starts here. So that's the amazing thing. Energy. It's so important to know about energy on various levels and to master that. So the fourth part is productivity. And what I mean by that is we can have a vision, we know how to relate to people and to ourselves, we master our energy. If we don't get the rubber on the road for ourselves and for others, nothing is going to happen. So if we master these 4 areas, then this is what I call personal leadership. And out of that, or what's connected with it, is the traits that come out, right? To have curiosity, to be courageous, to be congruent. Congruent is, you don't know my truth, being myself. To communicate, to be connected. So that's the result of managing these areas. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay, so here, like you explore the person from different angles and you try to develop on different levels. But my question here, like, how would you help people explore themselves? How can people inspect and introspect what they are doing?
How can they explore themselves? It's a very good question. And when I asked myself, when I started going into this area or in this career, and I did a lot of research and I learned an awful lot. And here's the most important part, I experienced a lot. And I found that it always helps to have a certain process. Because as I said in the beginning, there's so much information around. We're living in the information overflowing world. So it is so hard to pick amongst the millions of books and millions of people who offer whatever. So, because it's snippets, it's something. Somebody says, got to find your purpose, got to do this, da 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 da. And so what I did was taking everything I know, taking everything I've experienced, and what I knew. So tapping into my own wisdom. And turns out the wisdom everybody has is based on universal wisdom. So I took these 3 elements and created a process. And I created a process that makes sure that each and every person, through the steps they're going through, can connect to themselves and tap into their true self. And it always works unless a person doesn't want to. Because we're all very powerful and nobody can push anything on anybody, particularly on that level, if they don't want to. So the short answer would be, I have developed a process, which I call personal leadership experience, which delivers exactly that result and helps people exploring, because everybody's unique. Everybody is totally individual. So it's for everybody to find out what's underneath these layers.
And what is special? What is, let's say, different about your approach?
I mentioned a word here, and this is experiences. Words don't teach, experiences do. So we can read thousands of books, learn many, many concepts. Unless we experience them and feel them, they won't settle. We won't get the result. I mean, sometimes, we might read something and it hits us right here into the heart. And then we might experience it. Generally, that is the difference, though. So it's not theory. it's experiential. And this is the best and the quickest way of getting results. And this is why it works so in a moment. So in fact, the core process, so the first step, I said, I'm starting with the connection. I'm making a bit of a circular movement here, because it's from the inside out how we develop, or how people go through this process. So this is where it's coming from the inside out. And this first part, it takes about 3 sessions, and duck, you're through all the layers. I had people saying to me, you know what, I worked with coaches or even with therapists, because it always gets personal, because it is about the person. I had people saying, I worked with people for 6 months and didn't get the results I got with you in 3 sessions.
Congratulations on that. Okay, so my next question, like, you work with students at the university level.
Yep.
Would you please explain more about your experience with that and what their main concerns with entering the work market are?
Yeah, the very short answer would be clarity. Every student I work with is confused about, what do I do? They might be in the middle of their bachelor studies and have to decide for their masters. So I have no idea which direction to go. They might be in their masters, and then it's like, I have no idea which job to really take. So there is no clarity about what is important, what they really want. Remember when I talked about the vision, the North Star? I have yet to meet a student, or for that matter, a lot of people, who have developed that, who have taken the time to go through a process of creating clarity for themselves. So really, in a nutshell, what is important? And that can come up in various kind of issues, if that makes sense.
Let's broaden the topic a little bit. What skills would you deem, or would you consider like the most important for today's career and life, and especially for these, let's say, younger graduates?
Yeah. I actually did a masterclass recently for parents of younger children, and that was one of the questions. What do our children require in the future? And this is not only relevant for young children; it's relevant for definitely students when they go out in this world. So to say it right in the front, or right up front, it's not academics. Academics is something we can learn, right? I mean, it's knowledge, plain knowledge. The most important skills, and I compared it, in fact, to what the World Economic Forum came out with. You might know that they have this kind of 10 most important skill list I think they're issued every year, and the current version is 2025. So everybody who's interested in what the World Economic Forum has to say, go on their website, and they have a nice, good overview. So I derived from those what is really crucial. So I just name a few. One of the most important things that I already shared is really knowing yourself. So this personal leadership is crucial. It's absolutely crucial in a world that is uncertain, in a world where we can't get safety from the outside, because when we have the connection to ourselves, the safety comes from inside, not from the outside. So that is crucial and the best foundation everybody can have in this fast-changing world. Another one is problem solving, critical thinking. That's mainly using logic and the mind. This is, in a world where we are faced with many, many issues, we gotta have this potential of networked thinking, connecting the dots, right? To be creative with our problem solving. Another one is clearly adaptability, flexibility to people, to situations, to changes. Nobody likes to change. That's, unless we have this desire to change ourselves when it comes from the outside, like it came with the COVID situation, and now people have experience restrictions, etc. Nobody likes that. Nobody likes to have anybody to push change on them. That's just how it is. So another one would be growing and expanding, or learning how to learn. I'm sure every student has heard that in school, when they come into the working world. It's so important to continually learn. And what I'm talking about is not just knowledge. You can learn how to program, you can learn how to do accounting, you can learn whatever, whatever skill is required. That is one part. The other part is learning and growing yourself as a person and connecting that. And particularly important, knowing when to learn what. There it comes again. There's thousands and millions of things we could learn. What do we learn? What's really important? And for that, we've got to have this direction, the North Star, the idea about our life, because otherwise, we learn random stuff. I know young people, they spend all their day on YouTube, and there's lots and lots of information on there, partly really useful. If it becomes a random collection of knowledge, though, that doesn't really help. Collaboration is another one. It's great to be a highly intelligent person, a highly skilled person. The real success comes from collaboration, from working with others, from building relationships. And for building relationships, coming back to that, what I said before, it's crucial to be able to communicate successfully. So collaboration, huge one. Innovation, creativity is another one. To be able to tap into the crazy ideas. Remember what I said before? What is important for personal leadership? Curiosity. And curiosity is a big part of creativity and innovation, right? And innovation doesn't only happen in our head, in our brain. It happens also in our heart, in our intuition. Sometimes you might have had the situation in your life where there was a crazy idea bubbling up. I was like, is that really possible? Is that, can I say that? Can I do that? And yeah, that's important, to be courageous enough to come out with those crazy, seemingly crazy ideas, right? I mean, hey, a smartphone was a crazy idea 20 years ago. So let's face it. So let's be courageous and, tap into what might bubble up. The next one is tech savviness. We are living in a digital world, and it won't go anytime soon. I have this IT background, and I have seen how quickly technology changes, how complex it got. When I started like 30 plus years ago, completely different thing. I could build you a computer. Would I be able to do that now? No way, because it's become far too complex. And what I mean by tech savviness is working responsibly with what we have as a support. And I'm repeating that because it's so important. Technology, we're not here for technology. Technology is here for us to really achieve our objectives. So as soon as we get into the situation that technology controls us, something's wrong, and we got to align again, and realize and acknowledge, no, technology, data, apps, whatever is there in technology is there to support us humans on our path to grow, to do things better, more effectively, better for this world, whatever, right? Another important skill for young people, learn how to deal with money. Also, money is not going away. It might go away in terms of cash. in terms of the real currency that we're holding in our hands right now. The dollars and euros and whatever might go away, might be replaced by digital money. Who knows? You know, nobody knows what the future brings, really. Knowing how money works is critically important. Unfortunately, nobody in school and nobody in university teaches you. So find ways of getting a financial savviness simply for your own sake. Not necessarily to accumulate wealth, if you do, and if that's your objective, fine, nothing wrong with it. It's simply to have more peace of mind. And as we're living in a world that relies on money as a medium of living, basically, exchanging things, this is crucial. And last but not least, what is absolutely important in our world to succeed in the business world, and you might be surprised to hear that, is love and compassion. So why is that? You know, hey, I don't need to love my colleague or my boss. No, that's not what I mean. What I mean is when we go into life and business with an open heart, with care for human beings, and this is what I call love. We really care about myself and others. Results will be totally different, and that I can promise. If we have compassion for people around us, if we do not only connect on an intellectual, on a brain level, on an analytic, logical level, and this is unfortunately what still happens in the workplace quite a lot. We only connect here. We are emotional beings, all of us. And I spoke to leaders who said, emotions in the business? Oh God, no. You know, it's like, don't be so emotional. This is futile to separate ourselves, you know. It's like, okay, I'm just going in with my head and my logic and my knowledge. Doesn't work because the body comes along and the emotions happen here. And just when I talk to you now, it elicits whatever kind of some emotions, I am very sure. That's normal because we are emotional. So if we acknowledge that and we have the compassion for ourselves and for others, that's just who we are. Okay, and life gets more pleasant, more joyful, and more successful. So connecting here and here.
So you've mentioned that especially young people are not so conscious of, or let's not say lack this kind of long-term vision, or let's say these main goals. And you have had these sessions with parents. Like, what do you suggest for the educational systems, for the university institutions, and for the parents to bring that more into these young people's awareness and the planning?
That's a very good question. I mean, our educational systems are pretty much screwed, to be honest. They rely on systems which are hundreds of years old, and our world has changed dramatically. And so these competencies I was just lining up here or explaining, they are not taught. So in my wildest dreams, the educational system from the very beginning up to university would mean for young people that they can learn according to their talents and their preferences. I have experienced that every young person, every child, I could say child, is very, very keen on learning. Most of us have forgotten how keen we were on learning when we were little, because we were explorers. We wanted to get to know the world. We had this natural curiosity, right? Take a young kid, have a walk with them, and it takes forever. Why? Because they explore every grass and every snail and whatever they see on the path. And I would love if educational systems would help the young people to stick with this love for learning, for this love for knowledge, for this love of exploring. That's one part. The other part is, what can the educational systems or the parents do? Accept the young people for who they are. Every person has unique talents, and every person can contribute to society and to this world in some way. It might be small, it might be huge, it doesn't matter. The important thing is that we are all valuable. And if parents could create the environment for the children and the young people to find their own path, not to tell them this is your path or you better do this, but help them in a way, coach them through finding their own path, whatever this is, and particularly if they like it or not. Let's face it, I have two children. They're both adults, they're 24 and 28. And I had some ideas of what they could do, what they could, be. And we often don't know as parents how much we are conditioned ourselves by the society, by our own education or upbringing. And so what do? On a very subconscious level, we transfer that to our children. And we get very, very worried if our children don't go this path that we have in our minds, which might not be theirs. And so I can only highly invite, not even recommend, I invite parents to see their children, their adolescents, the young people for who they are, to listen to them, to accept if they go a different path. And I'm not talking that they might study math instead of medicine. So maybe a different subject. I am really talking about a young person might say, you know what? My vocation is not even going to the university. My vocation is not even to have a career, what is ever called career, and make a lot of money. I am actually far more interested in growing things. And this could be anything, or in building things, or in reading, or in writing. Those kind of things which are looked at like, like the arts, etc. Or some crafty things, particularly when children are incredibly intelligent, right? And I've experienced it because as I said, I have two children. My son is 24. He's still looking. He's still looking for his path. And I tell you what, whoever listens to it and is in this kind of age group, this can be hard for parents, because we are worried. We like you young people to find your spot in life, to find your position, to not having to worry about you, because we'd like you to succeed, and whatever success means. And there's something very practical. Sit down with your parents and discuss, what is success for you? What does that really mean? And not necessarily what you think it means on the societal level or on the expectation level from whoever. What does it really mean for you? When do you feel successful? Is that really the money on the account? Or is that when you're in the flow of doing something? Is that when you can have fun with something? Whatever it is, what is success? Start thinking about this. Start feeling into it. When would you feel really good? Because let's face it, in the end, that's all what we want as human beings. We would like to feel good. We would like to feel loved, acknowledged, and that we've achieved something. So, parents, please love your kids and give them space to develop, and also create the environment that they can grow, if that makes sense.
Okay, my next question here, you mentioned that we don't like to be forced to change, or we don't like to see change forced upon us.
Yeah.
Usually the world we live in is always changing and always evolving. Wouldn't you think that it would be better, like to, let's say, to train the young people more on accepting a change and embracing this skill or this ability?
Mm. This is what I meant with the adaptability and flexibility when I talked about the skills for the future. It is crucial to understand for every human being on this planet that, yeah, the world is changing, and yeah, we don't like it. And still, we better accept it. I go a step further, even use the word surrender. Surrender is not giving up. It is rather giving in to those kind of situations and things I can't change. Let's take COVID as an example. COVID came around the corner last, I don't know, February, March, to the area where I live. And so nobody liked it, right? It was like, oh, what is it? And suddenly we had to stay at home. I can fight against this change. I can fight against the circumstances. And you know what that results in? Stress, exhaustion. So if I surrender, though, if I accept things I can't change, and COVID is just one example, some people get wound up because the weather is wrong, right? I mean, come on, it's something I don't have influence on. So the biggest power we have in our life and the most control we have is here, about us. So it's not that the external situation makes me happy or unhappy. No, no, no. It's me. Whatever I think or whatever, however I perceive a situation is what makes me unhappy. So the more I'm in the position to look at whatever is not influenceable by me, and there are lots of areas which I can influence. I don't know, I'm just throwing that in very, very briefly. Are you familiar with Stephen Covey and 7 Habits? And he uses this circle of concern and circle of influence. And the larger the overlapping of the circle of concern and influence is, the better we feel. So if the weather is an area of our concern, but it's not of our influence, we're unhappy, right? So we better accept there are factors and things in life we simply cannot influence, even if we are concerned about it. And the only thing we can really control is how we react to this, to the outside world, to all the changes. And I even call it the power of reaction. So I have worked with people who said, but Claudia, if something horrible in my life happens, how can I not react to it? And I said, in fact, this is the key word. We can react. So that's like pushing a button and immediately something comes up according to our subconscious patterns. Or we can hit the brakes. We might feel angry, upset, frustrated, grief, whatever the feeling is. And we can accept that and then decide, so how do I choose to feel? So I'm not talking about this false positive thinking, because that doesn't work, because our emotions, they will come up. The important thing is to deal with them and to know I have the power to respond differently. So do I react, which is a very instinctive thing, or do I respond consciously and with high awareness? That's a huge power, and that changes lives.
It has been more than amazing and more than eye-opening talking to you, Claudia. Thank you so much, and have a great day in Germany ahead.
Thank you very much. You have a lovely day too.